Hey tubers, welcome back for another adventure. So right now I am more or less paralyzed because I've had a lot of stuff come in here because I emptied out the shed for the carport project. I've tried to do a few things, like I put this bigger tabletop on for storing a few more tools, but this just isn't working. And I'd love to refill the shed, but unless I put it in a permanent location, i.e. the ground is perfectly flat, I have to put a platform underneath it. And what I'll do is I'll fill it with just things that roll in and out or are fairly large, so I could carry them in and out fairly easily. Anyway, so this thing is 93 inches. If you go from the edge of that black skirt there to the edge of the black skirt on the far side, and from the edge of the skirt here to the edge of the skirt on that far side, it is exactly 12 feet, 120 inches. So we got our little construction situation set up here. Chop saw for the 2x4s, nothing all that exciting. And we got the circular saw to cut up the plywood. The interesting part on this is actually going to be to lift it up so I can retrieve those 12-foot pressure treated 2x4s out from underneath it, hold it in the sky while I use those to create a platform. Then I gotta drop it down on it. I hope from sitting as they've been sitting that things haven't warped all that much. The platform is going to be fairly heavy, and I'm just going to platform it right where it sits. Anyway, the platform is fairly heavy, so it is going to be interesting dragging it underneath there, especially in the limited space. I'm hoping Harvey is strong enough to do that. If not, I might be pleading with Chuck for some more help. He's strong as a mule, but like all of us, he's not as young as he used to be. He's starting to get arthritic. So anyway, we'll do our best. Let's get to it. So to get a platform under this, the first thing you need to build it. So if you go from outer skirt to outer skirt, it's 93 inches minus an inch and a half for the side rails on each side, so minus 3. So I need 90 2x4 by 90, and I need 9 of those. One at 0, 16, 32, 48, 64, 80, 96, 112, and 117 and a half. So it's the long length is 117 and a half. You know, double measure. I said 120 the first time, so always double measure. But I'm going to leave the side rails a little extra long to make it easier for moving the shed around, and then I'm gonna cut those back later. So I don't need to tell you guys, if you set up a table and pre-mark everything, it just goes so much quicker. When you look up sketchy in the dictionary, I think this is what you're going to find. I need to move this shed over. So I'm kind of jacking it up and pushing it. I really want the platform to move too. So what it's going to do is kick the jack out any second now. Anyway, I'm going to do this over and over again because I need more space to put the platform under it. I don't have enough space between the platform and the item 4, or between the shed and the item 4, so I got to kind of walk it over so that I could build the platform and somehow get it underneath. We'll have to see. Okay, here we are. You guys can see the platform is almost done. So it's 1/2 inch 4-ply on the bottom. You can see the 2x4 construction is 16 on center. It doesn't finish evenly, so that beam right there, I'll just split the difference. You could see I left ears on it, all 4 corners. That'll make it easier to move the shed around. So I finished building the platform, you know, use fasteners to hold down the plywood, you know, all along the side. The 2x4s are all put together, so the platform's pretty good. Now it's a matter of where things get sketchy. This jack, especially as you bring it all the way up, has a tendency to flop over one way or the other. So it's really kind of wise to pay attention where your toes are. I mean, it'd be very easy to be fooling around over here, foot like that, right? Comes off the block, and suddenly you're screaming for somebody to call 911, so a person could come over with a jack and lift that off your foot. Between the platform and the shed, you'd probably have about 200 pounds on your foot. Perhaps not enough to break it, but enough to put a real hurting on it. So there you go. Anyway, how am I moving it? I'm going to set the camera up in the tripod. They used to call these long steel bars digging bars when I was a kid. Maybe they're still called that, or maybe most people don't know what they are, because how many people dig holes anymore? Normally you rent a piece of equipment with an auger on it. Okay, so here we go. Remember, I could only move the bottom of the shed about 6 inches, 8 inches at a time. Then I kind of have to re-rig, jack it up, the shed, or, you know, go to the other side of the platform. I'm going to do that another whole bunch of times. Once I'm sure that there's enough space alongside of there, I'm basically going to push the shed onto the platform. It's pretty light and it seems to slide fairly easily. Okay, so this is a little sketchy. I've got it on here about as much as I can by prying the platform underneath it or walking the platform underneath it. So I'm going to go really sketchy next. I hope you guys enjoy it. So at this point, if I jack it up and kind of knock it off the jack stand, it's moving in the right direction. And this is what I mean by that. I just want to mention quickly also, this jack is like crazy dangerous. If you're going up, it'll slide and lock, but if you put it in a down position, it'll sometimes drop the whole thing down right on your feet. Or if you have pressure on it and you bounce it, it'll literally just bang and return, bang and return. And if your face is in the way, as mine is at the moment, it'll easily break a tooth or put a little hurting on you. Just one more thing. You guys remember I had the 2x4 across the front that I was lifting the shed with. Well, that went into this framing, and you guys could see that I have the framing braced up pretty good and braced up here pretty good, right? That keeps everything, right? The corner, the center, the top on both of those. That keeps everything from rock and rolling, right? And in the back here, I put those two diagonals. And then when I put the 2x4 across the back, I grab the corner, the diagonal, and the corner, right? So when you're lifting it up, I'm lifting it up by the frame as much as I can. These shelves are basically supported. You could see that they're transmitted to the ground, right? So basically the shelves are all supported from the outside. They are attached to the plastic sheds. I'll show you where the holds are. This side wasn't, it must have been against the wall. But in the back here, you could see like here. But you could also see that the stress on that, right, you can see how that's stressed. That one actually broke loose, right? So without the bracing, I could have never moved this shed. It would have collapsed like an eggshell. So I wanted to show that to you. I also wanted to show you it is now sitting on the platform, right, nice and square and proper. And at this point, it's ready to occupy again. And when I need to move it, I have these ears sticking off of it, which will make it a lot easier to put a rope or chain on or whatever strap, and just grab it with the backhoe bucket and move it. Given that there's a platform under it, not that I'd leave a lot of weight in it, but I'd be able to move it with some kind of weight now. It wouldn't have to be empty. If I would have left anything on this plastic floor, obviously it would have just blown through the floor when I lifted the rest of the shed up. So the shed's been successfully moved, and quite honestly, it's ready to put back into use. I need it for temporary storage. Right now, the garage and every place else is a mess, and quite honestly, I'm having trouble making videos because I gotta like load a bin with tools, and of course you forget something or don't realize you need it, then you gotta go back again, and it's more walking than working, right? And walking's good for you, but not if you're trying to get something done real time. Okay, once again, for everyone, I hope you guys enjoyed these videos. By the way, this isn't sitting all the way down, because for the planks that go along the bottom, I just drove the screws through the plastic flooring and left them, right? They went into dirt before. So obviously I have to spin them out, let the whole thing drop down, and spin them back in. Anybody who noticed, some of you guys are really observant. You catch everything. Anyway, I'd really like to thank you all for dropping by to watch and comment and subscribe. You're probably getting sick of construction by now. I know I'm beginning to get tired of it. I want to get back to the bikes, but sometimes you got to make an investment in the future. Anyway, please remember, feet down, heads up, and get out and enjoy each and every day. Bye now.